Bayer is a 150-year-old company with experience in their technical development as well as their resources and their great minds. They've been able to create a company full of innovative products and become a superpower in the pharmaceutical realm and in every chemical segment. Hello, my name is Brianna Dellandrea and I'll be talking to you today about Bayer and their strategic objectives, one of their problems, and how they can solve this problem and be able to defeat their rival. First of all, I'd like to do a quick introduction of Bayer. As I said, Bayer is a 150-year-old chemical company specifying in pharmaceuticals, but also in other different departments. They have about 46 billion in sales worldwide in 2016, and therefore it is easy to see that they own a lot of the market share in this market. Their mission is a science for a better life. Their goal is to achieve and maintain leadership positions in their markets, to create value for their customers, stockholders, and employees, while at the same time strengthening their company's earning power. Their strategic objective and what makes them so competitive is their ability with their large amount of resources to actually be able to continually innovate and develop. However, with this, their brand image is currently failing. And because of that, even though they are creating new products, consumers aren't choosing them. So you really need to consider this when trying to achieve their mission and their goal. They have 4 departments, 3 main ones and a sub-department. The first one being pharmaceuticals, consumer health, crop science, and then the sub-department animal health. The biggest of these in relation to sales is their pharmaceuticals, and therefore we'll be focusing on this for the remainder of the presentation. So their biggest rival in this department is Johnson & Johnson, who is also a chemicals company focusing on consumer health as well. And what makes them a rival is the fact that they can deliver similar products at a similar price. However, they have a better brand image in the sense that they have been able to accurately portray themselves as a family-run company that is helping the consumer. And even when things do go wrong in the eyes of the consumer, they're very proactive in being able to help these situations. And because they are like this, it is very easy for consumers to switch from Bayer and to buy from Johnson & Johnson. So this is the rival that we must consider throughout all of our analysis and in looking at our solution. Next, let's look at the problem. So the problem for Bayer right now is they do have a lot of brand awareness. However, their brand image is not doing very well at the moment. They're having a lot of instances of product failure that is making them not seen as the quality choice chosen in the mind of the consumer. If we look at some examples here, this year specifically, thousands of women actually are suing Bayer over their ESSER product, which is a sterilization product, and it had been causing internal bleeding and many complications. And as a result of this, Bayer actually hasn't really done anything about it. They have stopped producing the product, but they haven't taken the product off the shelf. They haven't paid any of the lawsuits, and therefore they're seen in a very bad image. And this is just one of the many instances like this. And so now consumers are questioning their loyalty to Bayer. So we're now going to do an internal analysis to see how we can solve this problem. So by looking at how Bayer has segmented themselves, they're actually segmented into 4 different groups, but we're going to be focusing on the pharmaceutical group, which is their healthcare group. And in this, they are targeting elderly people, sick people, people needing health, and also doctors. Doctors are really important because they push the product to the consumer. So it is really important in these instances to have a good brand awareness because they are able to gain that trust in the product and therefore recommend it to their consumers. So Bayer really needs to be able to focus and work on this. Continuing with the internal analysis, if we look at the value chain, there are many steps along the value chain in which Bayer adds value through innovation that they do so well, development, making the product. However, they have some faulty lines over controlling and the testing of the products, as there have been many products that have failed. And I think they need to add this into their value chain in order to really add this value to the consumer. And it's important that you know what the consumer wants in order to get into their mind. And in this day of age, according to Forbes magazine, it's really important for the consumer to trust the brand that they're buying their products from. And because of recent events, they're not trusting Bayer, and Bayer really needs to improve their brand image in order to gain consumers and stay at the top. Now, if we take a look at their strengths and weaknesses, you can see that Bayer has the strengths of having a known brand, constant R&D, dedicated workforce, high innovation, and diversified products. However, some weaknesses are their niche markets, bad brand image, low power, and reliance on doctors. The key takeaway from this is the bad brand image. They need to be able to improve this in order to gain more trust in the eyes of the consumer, as well as the reliance on their doctors. As the doctors are the ones that push the products to the consumer, they really need to focus on creating that high quality product and that good image in order to get the doctors to continue to push their products. Looking at the external analysis, you can see some opportunities as there's a growing health concern over health in individuals, as well as some threats, as you can see on the slide. The most important one here is the growing regulatory controls. Government is now getting more strict on what they allow and don't allow, and if Bayer can be proactive on this, they will save themselves a lot of money and time dealing with these lawsuits. A quick look at Porter's 5 forces shows us that there is a low bargaining power of suppliers, a medium threat of substitute products or services from low other vendors. There's a low threat of new entrants because of high capital requirements, and there is competition. However, it's 4 main competitors, Bayer and Johnson & Johnson being the most important. But the most important thing to note is the high bargaining power of the buyers, as they can easily switch to any of the other 3 competitors, such as Johnson & Johnson, as they offer very similar products, and Johnson & Johnson does have a better brand image at the moment. Looking at pest, here the most important thing to note is the social cultural factors. So in this, it's showing that consumers no longer just want to buy a product, but they want to trust the brand that they're buying it from, and they want to have a company that's giving back to society. And Bayer really needs to focus on this in order to stay ahead and regain their consumers. So what are some options that Bayer can do? There's 3 that we have thought of. The first one is to keep Esser on the market and to now start to maintain and build up their brand. The second one is to discontinue Bayer's Esser and take it off the shelves and pay the lawsuits and start a positivity campaign. And the last one is to discontinue Bayer's Essers, take it off the market, but do not pay the lawsuits. We believe that the option that will allow Bayer to be able to defeat their enemies, to regain their consumers, and to be sustainable in the long term is option 2, which is to discontinue the Bayer's Esser product, take it off the line, as well as pay lawsuits and start a positivity marketing campaign, both internally and externally. Now, just a quick look of how this will be implemented through the short, intermediate, and long term. You can see in the short term, they will pay the lawsuits by dealing with their lawyers to find a reasonable way to deal with this, as well as discontinue the Esser product and take it off of the shelves to really show the consumer that we are taking responsibility for our actions and that we care about them. In the intermediate term, we will start a positivity marketing campaign, both internally and externally. Internally, this will be focusing on adding an activity to the value chain, which will be additional testing before the product goes out to the consumer to make sure that there are less products that are deficient, as well as manager training to retrain them on putting them consumer first and to really focus on that in their development. Externally, this will be focused on creating ad campaigns and awareness to the consumer of the changes that Bayer is making and how they are putting their taking responsibility and how consumers can put their trust back into Bayer. Lastly, in the long term, this corporate culture really needs to be developed and to be fostered in order to really show the consumer of this change and to be able to build up this positive brand that will help them to continue to be innovative and use their competitive advantage, but to have a positive brand that allows the consumer to really trust these innovations that Bayer is making. Thank you for listening to my presentation. I hope you enjoyed learning about Bayer and how this problem can actually turn out to be an opportunity for them to not only defeat their enemy, but to regain their customers and to be sustainable in the future. Thank you.